Hey, Nicola Light here, remembering back into our light. What I want to sort of move into, there's a sort of like a deepening into the video that I did about the empath and compassionate heart. I want to go in a little bit more detail about empath responses. So empath, many people are aligning to the understanding of being an empath. And within that journey of itself is that, well, what is an empath and how can we see it to be? Everything that we have within our lives has a dualistic experience. It can be this or that. And an empath can be this or that. There's two different perspectives of understanding within it that allows us to grow within our own journey of our self-healing, remembering who we truly are through others. It is a sensory perception of reality that an empath actually sits there in the first place. It is a word, it is a process, it is a meaning, it is an experience. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. Remember that there are so many different videos. And lots of information. Some things are quite repeated and they need to be repeated because there's a depth of understanding within it for our mind to understand. But our inner light wisdom can, Lisbon, like Lisbon, is ignited with light codes when I bring them forward. Okay, yeah, that. So I'm asking the universe a little bit more information, data regards to empathic response to regulate emotion. When we're an empath, we feel and see in others self. And this is really important for the evolution of us to understand from our mind that empathic response is initially for others. Empathy, others. When we look outside of ourselves, we look through our eyes, our sensory perception of taste, smell, feel, touch, hearing, a sensory perception of the reality. It comes from us. An empath would hold a perception of reality from a sensory perception, which is an extra sensory perception other than the five senses. So it's like the sixth sense. It's a sensory perception to test others outside of ourselves. Okay, so we see outside of ourselves, we hear outside of ourselves, we sense outside of ourselves the feeling and seeing in others first. Okay, number one. When we're an empath and we see and we feel, but we don't put it as to others, we reflect it back to ourselves as number one, there is an issue there because we get oversensitive, oversensitizing our senses back to ourselves because we start to then judge others. And within this, there's this sort of imbalance within being an empath and then judging it through our own shadow, which is our own emotion. So we're moving from observing others from an empathic response, but then actually saying, oh no, I don't like seeing that, into I see that within you. Invert it back then to self. So you see it outside to in rather than in. There's the difference which will evolve you as an empath and having an empathic response to what it is that you are being shown. Okay, it's a really important phase of the journey of absorbing information outside of yourself so you can see in others yourself, not yourself in others. Okay. Yana dasio makuno bakaisa makiatan, toko onno kula shabakiten eshna kieta. Monomokosh makietana shabakiten, malamoso bakono makitana asha. Dana ala makosha makitana esho, sumokush makitana ispakieten, malamaso bakono makosha makietam. Dana malabasio makitana a. So let us see for one particular moment. I have here two beautiful crystals. They're both the same, but they're different. There is a response within them when they connect that they have a similarity about them, but they are separate. An empathic response will see within the experience the similarities, but that response is different from the perception when we come from a mind perspective because we see it outside of ourselves. So this little stone will see this little stone. Okay, this little crystal will see this little crystal. However you perceive it to be, whether you're a stone or a crystal, it is regardless of lower mind, higher mind perspectives. With an empathic response, you see the similarities of what it is that you can empathize with the feelings and thoughts of another. If you've been through a trauma, there would be a bond between this person and this person to receive the information that comes forward. Empathy can only sit when you truly understand through their experience what does it feel like. There is a point of reference for you to actually see within that person how it feels because you've had a point of context, point of understanding from the mind. I understand what that feels like because I am empathic through the experience of it. When there is no understanding of it, then we seek out intelligence to understand what it is through the interaction with that individual as they speak it to you through their sensory perception of reality, their perception of the experience, but you experience it secondary, not primary perspective, empathic response. You can only judge or observe or interact when there is a similar experience that goes on. When that happens, there is a balancing act between your understanding and their understanding, and there's a beautiful match within it. That empathic response is so much more fluid when you observe yourself in the situation with them. When there's an opposition to it, when there's a dualistic empathic response, you can use the information that comes in from them so that you can gain access to the information that they hold that you do not yet see. So there's two different types of empathic responses here then. There's a positive response, which is more in alignment, and there is a resonance. Okay, you see, because of your own experience, there is this resonance of energy flowing between you. There's a positive standpoint of seeing within them because you've experienced it. Nice and easy. Boom. Okay, negative empath response is that within the experience there is a negative and a positive that will give it a pull between the transmitting of the energy that you're receiving with the experience. So somebody would have something that would be something that you cannot see, which creates a sense of like a mirror effect within your reality. An empathic response is that I see you, but I do not understand it because I don't hold the same resonance of energy with you. Now, how do we perceive that reality to be? Do you see it then as a self, or do we see it for others? When you see it for others, then you can then say within that mirror that I then can observe. I observe your behavior through the empathy that I have with a compassionate heart. With compassion of your heart, you'll be able to understand what it feels like to be that person without judgment, no judgment. Okay. If you then go into self, you will judge others for their perspective. Their perspectives you will not understand or understand because you push your empathic response into self rather than empathic response into others. So we must always see that it is others that we respond to from a sensory perception outside of ourselves, and then it then comes back to ourselves. So we settle our minds into that balancing of the energy, is that we then see it because we have empathy for the individual from a compassionate heart. Okay, so being an empath, we can go in and say, well, this isn't resonating, push away your gift of your sixth sense. Or you can come in and say, I'm going to evolve through the journey of it. I'm going to expand myself into seeing it as a positive thing, a positive gift. It is a gift that you hold. Empathy is a gift you hold. It is not something that you want to push away. It will give you the experience of what does it feel like to be another aspect of yourself, which is others. You are I am you. We are all one. Why would you push away the experience of being empathic to gain information, understanding, inner standing by the connection of the universe that somebody has come into your life to be synchronistically aligned to them? It is for your soul's growth and using your sixth sense of an empathic response, you'll be able to convert your perception of reality from others by looking through their eyes, by standing in their shoes, by seeing it from their perspective. Only can happen when you have a compassionate, opened heart. Okay, it's really important that we shift our inner standing with all of these responses that we are bringing online and evolving into mastery, rather than criticizing others because maybe they might eat meat, or they drink alcohol, or they do this or they do that. Duality is not about good and bad. Duality is about you and I. It is the connecting to each other that we see everything from different perspectives. It's all about that. And it is not about anything other than that. It is a perception. And yes, there is good and bad. There is yin and yang. There is negative and positive. Yes, indeed, there is. But the perspective of my duality in my reality is you and I grow through the connection to you and I. Through the journey of it, I then perceive reality to be from a neutral position of an emotional response, not that of good and bad. It just is. And the more that we can rise up into the observation with non-attachment of good, bad, we can then morph and change our reality into perceiving it to be from a beautiful wavelength of compassion within our hearts. And seeing that then will shift the collective energy, because the output from a compassionate heart is amplified as we just allow ourselves to just hold space for people, to allow people to grow through the pure presence of compassion within our own heart system. Okay, it's a big difference. Kian to ung ula shumu kaiti, anta a kan o shumatena a, mono o kusha tikitina a koi, mono mu van kaisumolan a. Dana alu wesha, kubo vandesh, sama antu gala masa yesh, kian tu kusha makietan tu gana mesia, dana anma kusha makitene esha. So allow yourself to align to your heart and feel a sense of balance within you as you observe from an insight of mind, and allow you to upgrade the heart from the seeing from within of the compassionate heart connection. Anchor it down into creation, into that of the full embodied state, hooking into the system of the lower chakra systems and dissolving any emotional state between you and I. Here we convert it into positive resonance of inner standing, of seeing far beyond our own experience when there is somebody that doesn't resonate with you. Okay. I do hope that content will assist you on with your journey. Also look back on all of the other videos that I will link up, hopefully, if I do remember to do so. And that will then help you understand your own energy, to become empowered on with your journey. If you want to work with me one-to-one and go a little bit deeper into your own energetic field and see your own restrictions, just let me know. Give me a little message. There's also beautiful groups that I have. Have a little check out on dates there, which is going to come up for next year. All on my website, nicolalight.com. Also check out my Patreon, where I bring in some information also. There's also a free membership there, as well as a 3-tiered system. So go check that out as well. All the links are below. And yeah, oh my gosh, look at that. It's actually finished at 1:44. So there you go. A beautiful, divine, aligned video content for you. Okay, take care everyone. See you all very soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll just say that in there for the ego, just to say I've ticked that box. See you all soon. Bye.